Thank you for the invitation, for the kind words, and thank you also to the staff of the British Museum and Georgia, if you're in the room. Thank you very much for all your efforts in bringing us together here. It's great to be here. It occurs to me the last time I was in this very lecture theatre was 2008. It was for the Digital Preservation Awards, then part of the Institute for Conservation Awards, where we were celebrating tremendous work in the field of conservation. And digital preservation was one wee small part of that. 10 years later, the Digital Preservation Awards are now a large and sort of self-propelled initiative, kind of working on their own, and it's time we bring it back to organisations like the British Museum. So thank you very much for the invitation and for the kind words. I want to, on the agenda today, the title for me is to introduce the Digital Preservation Coalition, and that's something I'm going to do, and I won't spend necessarily terribly long on that, because many of you are members of the coalition, friends of the coalition, very familiar with our work. And as a membership organisation, really it's the members who frame and deliver the DPC's programme. We have a small and effective executive team, but really the strength of the coalition is the membership and the collaboration that happens between them. So I will, in a moment, turn my attention to the Digital Preservation Coalition and our mission statement from our new strategic plan, which is a secure digital legacy. But I think to get there, I need to say a bit about the problem and introduce and rephrase and sort of reiterate some of the points that Glenn has already made. So let's start our digital preservation journey just by thinking for a moment what's at stake. What is this digital space that we seek to preserve? What is the nature of the digital estate, and what is it therefore that we want to carry forward into the future? Different ways you could answer this question. What's at stake? I mean, it seems to me that what's at stake is structured and unstructured data. It comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And whereas I've even said structured and unstructured data, probably I should be including in there also code and programs and applications, because the boundary between data and application seems to me to be a very fluid one indeed. What's at stake is born digital material and digitized content. So we have two classic mechanisms generating digital content. Some of it is just born digital. It starts its life as a digital object. And other times it's to do with the digitization of material. So we're going to hear throughout today about digitization projects as well as about born digital materials. We're going to hear, for example, about 3D scanning, about a variety of different technologies which generate digital content. And all of those materials are in scope. And it seems to me that the materials which are in scope, therefore, define just about everything in the digital space, from a throwaway photograph on the end of a selfie stick to a probe deep in space. Everything in that domain is in scope, everything of digital value. What does that mean? You know, what does that actually mean, this huge and amorphous definition? Let's try and break it down a little more. So we could approach that question, you know, in a kind of media type or a format type approach. You know, office documents, digital photographs, email, all of the things, all of the materials of our daily lives which are contained in digital form. You know, the DPC's just done a new report on the preservation of email. That's going to come out as a guidance document, hopefully in the next couple of months. You know, volumes of email continue to expand, billions of emails sent every day, and most of them seem to be CC'd to me. It's in the nature of digital content to be ubiquitous and abundant. So we could answer that in a technological sense, but really if all we concentrate on, if all we think about are the technologies, then I think we miss the cultural and indeed the curatorial value of these collections. So let's pause for a moment, okay? I want you literally to get out a pen and a piece of paper, or a notebook, or whatever it is, you know, laptop, mobile phone, whatever it is, maybe on Twitter. And I want you to give me a suggestion. And I'm literally going to pause for a moment and get you all to give me a suggestion of what's your favourite digital object? Or maybe more professionally, what digital output does your organisation need that it will simply not be able to do without in the future? What would you like to have available in 10 years' time? Honestly, go and do that right now. Anyone want to shout out their answer, you're very welcome to do so. I hope you can all, sorry? Family videos, yes, yes. I'm saving up quite a lot of video content for a 21st birthday, which is going to come in about, in about 18 years, okay? But it's going to be cracking. Everyone able to identify? It's hard to think of a digital object, you know, it's hard to feel affection for them, perhaps in quite the same way. But you see where I'm going with this. Who's involved in the digital preservation? Well, there seems to me that there's, broadly speaking, two communities that need to be involved in digital preservation. So I want you to stand up, okay? I want you to stand up if you are a data creator or a data user. Anyone in the room ever created any digital content or used any digital content? Is there anyone not standing up? Because please tell me how you've done it. That's the scale of the challenge, okay? Everyone needs to be involved. You can all sit down again. Thank you. It's just good to get blood flowing as well. So let's try and spell that out in professional roles, technical roles. That means IT services. It means curators, conservators, archivists. It means conservators again. It means librarians, researchers, technology companies. There are vendors. There's a bunch of solution providers here. And go and speak to them, do you know, about their work, not simply for the products that they will want to interest you, and it's good that they do, but if just in speaking to them you learn, and they will learn from you, it will be a mutual exchange. All sorts of people are going to be involved in this discussion. And actually, it's going to involve people at the top of the organisation as well. And maybe one of the things we need to think about over today is how do we engage the Risk and Audit Committee? How do we engage the board, the senior executives in your organisations, to engage properly with the risks they face and the risks they're carrying forward into the future? So really, I start with the question, who's involved? And I realise quickly the answer, you know, who's not involved, becomes easier to think about. Let me also, by way of introduction, just, you know, lay cards on the table about the relationship between digitisation and digital preservation. I know all of you know this, but it's going to be useful to repeat this over and over and over again. You may find yourself having to repeat it over and over again. And to be honest, we're thinking at the DPC of setting up one of those kind of online crowdfunder shops for T-shirts and tote bags with just this message on it, that digitisation is not digital preservation. They are related. So let's spell out the relationship between them. In the context of digitisation, we have the process of creating digital files by scanning or some other clever use of technology. Maybe it's keying in. Maybe there's a variety of different ways in which we create that digital content. In the space of digital preservation, similar definition to the one that Glenn's already given us, the series of managed activities necessary to ensure continued access to digital materials for as long as necessary. Pause for a moment to observe that there's a relationship between these two important activities. Digitisation typically creates a requirement for digital preservation. But they are not the same. And today we're really going to be talking about digital preservation, and you may need to be rethinking and restating that commentary as we go, and perhaps more importantly, taking that message to senior executives. Do you know, it's my job sometimes to try and influence very senior people, talking to government, talking to policymakers in a range of different places, and it's embarrassing when I have to explain to a cabinet minister the difference between these two activities and why he thinks he's invested in digital preservation and in fact they're investing in digitisation. So that's what I wanted to say by way of introduction. I want to say now, just as I wrap up this little introduction, as I was asked to do, go back to what I was told to do, an introduction to the Digital Preservation Coalition. So the DPC is a not-for-profit member-owned, member-run organisation, and our vision for the future is a secure digital legacy, a new strategic plan launched at the start of 2018. We're a membership organisation, and this festival of logos on the screen is as much to indicate the diversity of that membership as much as anything else. DPC, the challenge that we face is cross-sector, cross-profession, and international in scope. So the membership of the DPC starts off, in 2002 when we were set up, with memory institutions at the lead, with some universities and research councils in there. But actually, as the requirement has grown, as the need has grown, so the membership has become, over the years, more and more diverse. I was delighted in November last year we invited Bacardi. Somewhere on there is the Bacardi logo. And that is just exactly the Bacardi you think it is. It's not some other Bacardi university or something, And why are they coming? Well, they're coming because they have infrastructure that has to last over, more than the life cycle of one technology. And that creates for them a digital preservation requirement. We are run and owned by our members. We have no grant behind us except the subscriptions that members pay. And our members give us a mandate, and that mandate contains 6 objectives. So this is really what the DPC does. We do work around advocacy, community engagement, workforce development training, capacity building, standards, and then good governance. So a quick dive into those. Advocacy, we do a lot of work to try and raise awareness around digital preservation. My favourite outputs from that every year, the BIT list, which is the global list of digitally endangered species. We published that in November 2017. It's coming back later this year, November 2018. Watch for things moving up and down the endangered species list of digital content. And then every 2 years we do the Digital Preservation Awards, where we celebrate great work. We try to make this also a story of celebration, not just risks, because we believe that the community is actually working really hard. And it can be all too easy to try and grab the headlines with tales of woe, when actually we want to grab the headlines with tales of real success and real accomplishment of this hard-working community. We do a bunch of work around community engagement. So let me pause for a moment with an advert for World Digital Preservation Day and encourage you all to be tweeting and blogging and writing and doing whatever it is you do, making cake. Last year there was a lot of knitting involved in World Digital Preservation Day. Whatever it is that occurs to you, it's going to happen on the 29th of November, so get involved, please do. We do a lot of workforce development, so we put a lot of money into training, a lot of money into skills. We run our own training programs. We have a thing called the Digital Preservation Handbook. Help yourself to all of that. We do a lot of work around capacity building, typically technology watch reports or briefing days, the examples of that. Please do. Again, they're focused on what our members tell us that they need. We do a bunch of work around good practice and standards, a new programme of work emerging there, talking to vendors, talking about certification, accreditation. It's noticeable for me, by the way, that the archives sector accreditation standard now has quite a significant digital component. And coming back to one of the things Glenn said earlier, I'm not sure that museums designation is quite as explicit in its requirements around digital preservation. And I think that might be something as a sector we want to address. And also we have to do everyone has a strategic plan that says they're going to be properly governed and owned and member-led. So we work hard to ensure that that's the case. So in all of this work, I want to encourage you to think of the DPC as a friend and a partner. I'm going to leave it there. I just want to, first of all, thank Glenn and Georgia for their help in getting us all together today, to welcome you all to the DPC community, at least for today. Hopefully you'll find something useful and something encouraging as well as informative out of your deliberations today. And then to finally hand over to friend and colleague Simon. Glenn, are you going to do a bit of an introduction? Well, I'll hand over to my kind of friend and colleague Simon Tanner at King's College London, and it's great to. I was sort of observing with Simon earlier on today. It's probably been about 5 years since we were actually in the same room together. That's nothing personal. It's just to do with busy lives, not least the digital asset management program, which Simon leads, an innovative program at King's College London. So hand over to Simon.